Welcome, everyone. I'm going to start with the blind talk and then do the.
What do you
conversation
think?
later. Yeah.
Do that.
Okay.
Yeah, what the topic that's been up for me over the last couple of days, if we believe in time, has been the experience of the distinction between who I am, true nature, awareness, and what I have, which we most closely identify with the body mind, and then with in outgoing concentric circles, identify beyond that. You know, and then these are my friends, and this is my sangha, this is my car, this is on and on like that. A shift in perspective that I think is the step into the true nature of the one I am as awareness is, we'll try a little experiment right now. If you'll close your eyes as if we're going into meditation, and I want you to position your awareness behind the body. It may even be behind the chair. It's just a little exercise in identity and positionality, right? From that place behind the chair, behind the body mind, you are experiencing the body mind as arising in the awareness that is your true nature, right? I used to do this really frequently in a meditation group. But this step into the truth of who I am, which is the awareness behind this body mind, because this body mind arises in that spacious experience of true nature. Awareness is required for me to have this me, this body mind, this environment. Yeah. Open your eyes now. So the step out of identification with the me that got created, at the heart of that creation is our early wounding, right? There probably are past lives and all kinds of things we could point to, but it's most effective to realize that we created this person that we now identify with, and that the creation of that person is centered by a judgment, a conclusion, a self-concept that was never true. But when we installed it, we began to have a world that impressed it upon us that whatever our conclusion, I'm not good enough, I don't matter. This is something the way it should be, and it's not that way. You know, we have the entire dynamic going on of a limited me identity, and then the cause is posited into the external. Now, as we know from our study with Paul Levy's book, The Quantum Revelation, the quantum field that shows up as this 3D reality depends upon our input into it. The lens through which we observe is modifies or informs the information going into the quantum field. So if at the heart of the matter of who I believe I am, I'm not good enough, then that's ongoingly the information into the quantum field. And then it shows up as difficulties in our body mind, as difficulties in our relationships, in our environment, and whatever. So the way in which we create our reality starts to be, it's a misidentification, right? Who we are is the awareness of it all. If you start to get this, what you'll start to have is a kind of altered state experience of how everything is arising in your awareness, including in your body mind, right? It's I laugh because it's such a delightful aspect of awakening. It comes along with awakening, and it can be the portal into awakening for sure. And so we have this experience of being like the avatar in our video game that looks like Maui for all of us here, and different were you guys there? But the point is that the most fundamental distinction that the awakening depends upon is that distinction between who I am and what I have. And when that distinction is bridged, when it's opened up into the realization, the real eyes to see that all of this is arising in my consciousness. And in that way, I am not separate from all this. So that's the direction that I want to take in the teaching and the sessions that I do, is to start to move into that realization, because in that realization there is no more victim. There's no more them and me. There's no more separation. There's the fullness and the joy of creation, and the joy of my own true nature as I am that. I am the awake awareness in which all reality arises, including this body mind. That's just the local reality for each one of us. And from that place, we are so, the frequency of that knowing, the frequency of that internalization of that revelation is such a high frequency that it benefits every aspect of our reality, whether it's financial or health wise or connection wise. Everything is benefited by that receiving the salvation of one's true nature, receiving the knowing that it's all mine. It's like, I was talking with Yara. Yara shared with us an experience yesterday about having this connection and with a 3:30 in the morning nighttime sky with a full moon, and the feeling of the separation disappearing. That's what it feels like. It's such a, it happens for all of us that had the experience. Often it will be in nature, but as you start to live from that space, then you're like, there's no more them and me. There's no more separation. It's all this. Knowing it as the one I am, however it arises, however it looks, gives us access and connection to it, right? What happens with our resistance to anything is that it separates us, and then we have to try to fix it. And now the frequency of that need to fix it is a frequency that it shouldn't be the way it is. And that frequency alone is one, it's not just negative, it's an impact that creates discomfort, dis-ease, and separation. So this is the, if there is a remedy to all of what we suffer with, it would be this shift in perception. That is the remedy. That's why waking up is so valued. But what's happened, I think, with it is that it has become a formulaic, like whether it's a practice, it's a sadhana, it's I'm there every week for meditation, I do this all day, every day, whatever it is. If this doesn't happen, that ain't worth shit. It's not gonna do the job. This is the shift that has to happen. It's a shift between you're out there and I'm in here. I know this is what happened in this body mind unit with the awakening experience when I was 70, was that all of a sudden there was nothing apart. Everything was arising in my awareness. And so the access is like love. The access is like yes, and the access is authentic, and it can definitely be no, but it's not because of separation, right? Is this making sense to everybody?
Yeah.
You got a blind guru here. You can't see nothing.
Hey,
Yeah.
Pali, it's Amora. I just wanted to share a phone call I got from Max this morning
Oh,
to do
good.
with your talk.
Yes.
And he said, I'm calling you from the field of allowing.
Yes.
And here's a man who's been diagnosed with Parkinson's dementia. So that's his label. But the truth of it is, his heart is wide open, probably as wide open as it's ever been. So it's fascinating.
That's
When the
beautiful.
mind starts to go, the heart opens wider.
Yeah. And I do think that I've made this correlation before. I can't support it with any research or facts, but I think one reason that the cognitive impairment is coming online for so many is that when we fell out of our hearts and into our minds, we've become dependent on them. The problem with our minds is they're based in polarity, and and it's underpinned by fear. It all points back to the garden story, which is a great metaphor for this condition, right? But what it does is that it puts us with externalizing cause and thinking that we need to correct it, and that we need to correct it out there. I always like to use as a story about it, the experience I had when I went to college and I was taking the biology biology 101, and we had little frog cadavers, right? And I was just like in tears, right? I just couldn't believe this little frog stretched out on this, pinned down to this board, dead, right? And it occurred to me that I'll never know what a frog is like by doing this, right? And so when we separate from anything and we think that we can know it, the experience is inadequate because it's being filtered by our minds. Thank you, Maura. That was such good news to hear from Max. Yeah.
So Polly, you've said this many times, what you're saying. I know, I
can't
know,
believe it.
I know, the map is clear. So what makes it so challenging for the rest of us to fall back into that? And we've all had experiences, like you
Right.
said, we've all had experiences of that. But to stabilize that, do you have a sense of what's in the way of that?
Well, a lot of collective conditioning is in the way, and then our own personal version of it with our own wounding, which create the lens through which we see and which separates us. The belief I'm not good enough is going to separate you from reality, from what looks like out there, and the way that the distortion lens works is that what's out there is going to appear to prove to me I'm not good enough. Now it can go to the other end of the stick at times, and that's sometimes confusing because the self-active mind is caught in duality. So we can go from one end of the stick to the other, but like I said before, underpinning that is fear. It's fearful to be a me. It's scary to be a person because it's not who we are, right? We are having an incarnated experience, but our true nature is the awareness of it, not the experience. We are aware of the experience, but the key is, and this comes with the teaching, the caveat. What happens is that you have this experience of connection when you're no longer judging, and all judgment is self-judgment. And so that's why we work on what got installed. That was the early wounding conclusion. When that self-judgment disappears, then all judgment disappears, and the experience of connection is already in place because it's what's true. We don't have to make what's true true. We have to let go of everything that's not, that's impeding our experience of connection. Got it?
I mean, I do feel like the more I'm around you, the more I'm in groups, especially the intensives,
Right.
that layers get kind of
Absolutely.
softened,
That's right.
you know, and then I'll hit something and then you'll say, oh, that's all about you. It's like, oh, right. Come on.
Are you sure?
No, when you say it, it's clear, it's clear. The whole pattern, the whole lifetime pattern shows up. But when I'm caught in the pattern, it's not as obvious.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we necessarily need to be kind to ourselves about this process, but we also need to be insistent upon not being caught in staying in suffering. If you're suffering, you're believing something that's not true. As a caveat, that's kind of an overall statement. And if you're believing something that's not true, it's typically going to be that wounded conclusion. I don't matter. I'm not good enough. So the good news is that we have absolute access to this aberration that's creating something that's just not true. We are committed to, and we love, I would say, uh, polarity makes for lousy spirituality, but great art, right? And so we have this affinity for what we have created, which is, because it's caught in polarity, it's that's the issue, because that's not the nature of reality. The nature of reality is oneness, within which there is variety and arising of creations that depend on all kinds of things that our mind, because our mind has been, and to whatever degree it is, still is, caught in fear and polarity. And so in the field of allowing, which I equate that to our heart, in the field of allowing, potentiality is not dual. It's not this or that. It's potentiality. It may be four possibilities. I forget in the quantum revelation, Paul points to this. It can be three possibilities. It can be anything, but when our mind is caught through the duality of the fall, our shift out of our hearts, out of the field of allowing, and into our minds, then it's going to be that's good and that's bad, and that's the whole story. Done deal. And then we're caught between those. So
When you opened up this conversation, you said you were making distinctions. Who am I? What was the phrase that you used for our body mind? Do you remember?
me,
What?
what do I have?
Well, I'm not sure. That's kind of what, because it seemed
The
to me
body
there was
mind
a
is-
distinction in there that was
Perhaps.
really useful. And then outward to the environment. So there were like there was a step down from who am I, and I wrote body mind, but I think you had a different phrase than
Well,
that.
the phrase that I've been using, which I find is really descriptive, is the identification as a me.
Okay,
That may not be what I said today.
that's all right, it'll work.
I think
Thank
she
you.
said, who am I and what do I have? Right?
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you.
Okay, you babe.
Memory.
Yeah, all the country western songs tell an aspect of reality. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Yeah, so the perception of that includes the one I identify as the me is higher or beyond in some way, and it is the same for all of us. It gets expressed through the body mind unit and through the gifts and talents that we use human design to specify or discern. So as the description of the vehicle, the way awareness incarnates and identifies with this body mind unit, then the human design is a great, it's like getting the owner's manual for your new vehicle, right? But to know that I am not that, I have it, and from that place, not identified as it, I have the freedom to express it without a polarity. Right. It's this is something that's just arisen for me. It arose for me after I woke up to true nature, and the awakening for me was exactly what we're discussing today, which is to see that this is all within my consciousness. That's what the awakened state is to know reality as arising in the one I am. And because at that point, and at that point, it's like you have access to everything. So you don't look out and see somebody's against me, or somebody screwed me over, or somebody didn't do what they said they would do, right? You start to have it all right here, and you have the love, the connection, the ease that comes with that shift in perception. The reason that it's important is because that's what's true, right? There are a lot of things that are helpful. I think it was Mark Twain who said you can believe anything you want to, but when you believe something that's just not true, you will have a problem. You know, it's like, but when we believe what is true, what this is the way it works, then we're at the beginning of the opening into the grand adventure of the awakened state and the creation that comes with it collectively.
So, following up on Robin's question, maybe this is obviously obvious, but what ways can we in everyday reality keep cultivating these moments of expansive awareness?
Mhm.
I mean, that to me is washing dishes and, all the different things that we do. Is there anything that you found that's supported that?
Right,
In your own
well,
experience?
if you're not experiencing that, then you're probably to some degree being triggered. You for sure are believing something that's not true. And typically, that belief will be about yourself. I can't do this, I don't want to do this anymore, this is bullshit. But it has that edge of victim, actually. You see, all of our creations of identity have a victim aspect to it. That's kind of like the beating heart of the me, right? The somebody done somebody wrong song. I'm
Well,
a country
polarity.
western kid, huh?
The polarity,
Yeah.
I mean, there it is, down.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so if that's at all at play, then the 6 steps is really a direction to go in. And you may, they may collapse into, I know I'm triggered and I know what it is. And I actually know who I am. But don't collapse them ever if it's a benefit to go through the steps again. Because sometimes new facets show up of the early wounding conclusion.
Polly,
Who's
so
that?
then Ashana,
Hi.
so then everyone is ourselves, everything's arising out of the same consciousness. So if a friend is mistreating us, I mean, that's a perception that they
Right.
are mistreating us.
Mhm.
But let's say that, they are. And
Shit happens.
and then you can see like, okay, well, if I'm not triggered, then that's not really a problem. They can just be who they are. If it triggers me, it's my stuff to take a look at.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've done that. Taken a look at my part. So now I feel an impulse to communicate and to express to this sister just a little bit about my process and
Mhm.
how it felt, and a request for a certain type of,
Mhm.
exchange between us. But so how do we bring this, oneness to actually navigating, relationship dynamics that arise with things like boundaries? Like I just downloaded the book Boundary Boss, because I noticed that I'm not very good at boundaries, and I kind of please and play nice and sweep it under the carpet until I'm
Mhm.
enraged.
That's an identity. Yeah.
That's an identity.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
It's
but
not
isn't
who you
there
are.
usefulness in our friendships to clear the air and say, this is what happened, this is how I felt, and would you be willing to
What
never
would you-
fucking do that again?
Stop it. Yeah, if you'll notice your motivation, you're still triggered.
Yeah,
Yeah, because when we clear it in ourselves, it just naturally in the course of interactions come up, but it's unlikely to, because when you clear it in yourself, it's actually no longer a part of your experience. It's the human fear-based identity that wants to have the problem at least acknowledged at the level of the problem.
right.
We would prefer to have it solved. That's what nonviolent communication is about. That's
Yeah.
what I'm okay, you're okay is about. That's what reframing is about, right? Is to try to make nice with what is instead of waking up to true nature.
But are we doing both? Are we waking up to true nature? I guess that's really my question.
Right.
Also, because in my design, I find it helpful to share with my friend after I've done enough work so that I'm, in a much better place, obviously.
Yeah,
But,
well,
but
see,
I found a lot of help in just discussing it, bringing it out in the air and just
Mhm.
like, and then it can let go. Without that discussion, I don't know that it really resolves completely within that friendship.
within you,
I have a need to go and complete it with that person.
right? Yeah, could be considered a trigger. Yeah, so the teaching is to continue to be with yourself regarding it, because the way that person shows up is dependent on who you're being to yourself. What you're being to yourself is, to whatever degree, a victim, is some degree of depending on somebody else's behavior or a connection for you to feel okay.
Or to be able to hear what my experience was.
Yeah,
That's like nonviolent communication. Like I want
Yeah,
her to
that's
hear what my experience was.
yeah. The reason that you do is that you want her to be wrong. It's not
Isn't it that she wants to feel like she's treated well and respected,
right,
partly? I mean,
but she has to do it first. And when she does it totally first, then you will never have the inclination to want to talk something out with somebody so that they can be cooperative with you and how you're being on your own side. That's 100% your job. And it's things can happen. We have conversations with people all the time. It's not that it might not happen, but are you in touch with your motivation for it, Ashana?
Well, I don't wanna have this thing between us and I wanna
The-
hear it so we
the
can let
thing-
it go.
The thing is within you, the thing that you're pointing to, she has a different experience. It may be very similar, but it doesn't matter. The point is that we have 100% access to the aberration that we're suffering with. And when we see through it, it may turn out that you have a conversation with somebody, but I want you to be in touch with your motivation to have that conversation is for her to change her behavior so that you will not experience again the disrespect or whatever it was.
For me, it's more, and maybe this is an identity,
Mhm,
but there is a need to speak up for my needs.
mhm.
You
and
know,
how
of
you like to be in relationship.
of how, and I'd like to get better at it in that moment. That's the problem is I didn't speak up in the moment and then it,
Right,
so I wanna practice like, hey, in that moment, and I speak up. But if it's all only about me and ever was about me and they're just, but I tried that. With this particular friend, I just never brought it to her and I just worked it out in me and then the same pattern happened. And now I feel like actually it would probably be better if I spoke up about it
Mhm.
than only process it within myself.
Then I think you should do that. Yeah,
But
Yeah.
without attachment to her being a certain way or doing it the way I want to, or she's her. It's really just speaking up on my own behalf.
we're just saying what's true for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, there is a frequency to that. We call it authenticity. It's a very high frequency and it's always available for any of us between each other or within ourselves, right? But the authenticity goes with the early wounding. But at this point in what you're describing, absolutely, absolutely. Because the more open we are, the more that we don't see the separation, that we're not experiencing rejection or separation, because that's not true. That's what's not true. Yeah, so I think I think that would probably serve.
Say that saying communication and separation.
I didn't hear who said something.
There's that saying, communication ends separation.
The one that you're pointing to now?
Well, it's a saying that communication ends separation. When we authentically share
Right,
with one another about whatever it was, about ourselves and our insights, then we can again come into that, more coherent field.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
You know, I want to go back to my conversation with Max today,
Uh-huh.
because I was complaining that my kids don't call me.
Mhm.
Same old, same old.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know you have. And he said, when are you gonna stop waiting for your kids to call you? He said, as soon as that ends, it'll be totally fine what they do or don't do. And to start with forgiveness. 'Cause
Yay,
forgiveness is
Max,
really-
yeah.
I know. I said, thank you, honey. I forgot about that part. And it really helped.
For sure,
Yeah.
right.
And it'll probably come up again, and then I'll have to go back to forgiveness and allowing him or her, because it's a him and her, to be exactly who they are. It's an interesting challenge.
But when you find out who you really are, that's when it starts to be, the light shines on the behavior, or on the forgiveness, or on the
Right.
ease, yeah.
Right. It's gotta begin there.
I know that some of us who've been working with you quite intensely have, I mean, what you're saying is so radical. Really, it's so radical, it's almost hard to hear, because we're so conditioned to think it's there's something between us. And, the more we can back into ourselves and have it be us to us, then the freedom to speak or not speak is there. Otherwise, if we don't feel we're free, if we have to say it, then there's a spin on it. And we're entering into a dynamic, we're pulling our particles out to the other person. But if we're free to say it or not say it, then it's what's in front, what you always say, it's what's right in front of us to do. In that moment, it's not like I'm deciding to talk to that person so I can get a certain result, because I need the result. No, we don't need the result. We need the results here within us. But it's a high bar. It's a really high
Yeah,
bar.
and that's why we need to be kind to ourselves and use whatever, good tools that we have, that we know can begin the journey of reconnection.
With radical responsibility of taking responsibility for everything. Whatever we perceive.
It's all happening to you, yeah.
Yeah, it's radical
It
responsibility.
is, yeah.
And when we change within ourselves, right, then how we perceive the world changes.
That's for sure.
That's
Right.
That's it.
And there's no agenda that something needs to be different because we're gonna lose something or get something. I mean, there was a beautiful thing we talked about, transactional. We wanna get something from somebody. So anyway, that was helpful for me.
Good. Yeah, it's, who we're being, how we're perceiving reality is the information into the quantum field. And it absolutely shows up as relationship, as people, as abundance, as lack of abundance, as 3D reality. That is the teaching of the devil's slit experiment. That is as viewed, so appears. So, the view here, if I have a distorted lens that I'm not good enough, then that's the distortion I'm putting into the quantum field. Now it's going to show up in probably every arena.
So what Polly told me the other day when I had this trigger was, it's all you. That person has to do that because of your distortion lens. So I know, it's I'm like,
That's a hard life.
Yeah.
She didn't really have to. She could have done it. She could have said that different.
and it's just so sobering at some level.
Well, it's just
And
powerful.
freeing.
Yeah.
I get a little concerned that in Advaita and non-dual teachings, though, that we also have the capacity to spiritually bypass.
Yeah.
Cause I had this partner who we never died, he kind of became a guru, but he was completely out of integrity.
Sean.
He was completely out of integrity and he was lying and he had horrible behavior and it was clear that he wasn't awakened, but he could always, if I was triggered by it, his response would be, but who is feeling that right now?
Right.
And
Where is he now, Shauna?
he's dead now.
Exactly.
I'm sure he's probably listening.
But it's not his fault.
Who is dead?
Yeah.
No, it's not a spiritual bypass. A spiritual bypass is what he was doing, which was gaslighting, basically, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's not to let anybody off the hook, it's to be engaged with how reality operates. And and I do know that that's a high bar, and we've been indoctrinated and programmed out of it. And so, but if we take that first step and we start to have that opening that comes with 100% responsibility, then we are in the right direction. We'll start to have the results of that. It's authentically a high frequency. Authenticity is the highest frequency. It's the one that we gave up with our earliest wounding. If I believe I have to be good for daddy to be nice to mommy, then I am already inauthentic, unavoidably. And so we understand all that's gone on, but this reality right now is in the birthing pangs of moving into a higher frequency out of polarity.
So what you're saying, because I think what you're saying, Ashana, is really important. It's super important.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say right now, Polly, is kind of like what we talked about with the 6 steps. It's not that that person didn't mistreat you. We're not saying we're not saying that.
Yes.
We are not
But
saying.
why was that playing out in my field? What was that about for me? And
And
if I
it's
didn't
not
like
about
that, I
blame.
could walk away from that.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah, which was the great teaching.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah, why do you stay in that? You know?
Exactly. So
Freedom.
what is this about for me that I'm with this person that's doing this?
Yeah, and isn't it
That's the
interesting?
place of power.
Isn't it interesting how I always tell a story about the first minor awakening I had when I was still fulfilling a karmic debt in Wichita, Kansas. And then you know you've been bad. But I had this whole way of being with, I was a commercial real estate broker, and I had this place where we always got together at this particular bar in this particular area of town and so forth. And after the shift occurred for me, I couldn't find it. It's like the reality changed. I mean, I know it was still there. But it was just in my reality, it simply was no longer there. I mean, I literally couldn't see it. So this is a magical reality in that regard, because people and circumstances and buildings and shit disappear. Right? It's like,
I'm really glad you said that, because I thought I was losing my mind sometimes. I'm like, all right, I'm really crazy, lock me up. And Robert's very great, because he's like, well, we're all crazies and we're all in this together. I'm like, oh.
so you had things disappear on you.
Yes. And people that I thought would never, ever change,
Mm-hmm.
completely flipped over, and I don't understand. Like how? So it's just it's amazing.
It is. It is.
I've done kind of a wanting to get. I think I glued a couple of things together that I think are inaccurate, so I'm wanting you to
Yeah,
pull
sure.
them apart. And that is this thing of karmic presentations that are always going on for us. And in this quantum field piece, that we are magnetizing in pieces of reality because of our own misperceptions or distortions. How those fit together, probably pretty obvious, but where these karmic pieces that we're playing out fit together with how we magnetize.
Well, I think that the way that reality shows up, that has to do with the quantum field, which all reality does, has to do with frequency. I think that, we use the idea of karma to talk about incarnational cycles. And many of us have had hypnosis about past lives and things like that. So the malleability, the potentiality of expression and of identity, all of that is a huge, like a cauldron of sorts. I think that the way that we impact the quantum field is specifically delineated in the double slit experiment, where when the scientist was measuring the photon, the light wave that turned into a photon, if he wasn't measuring it, it continued as a light wave. So the point is that consciousness, when consciousness is on something like I'm not good enough, then it creates the experience of that, right?
Mhm.
If consciousness is not on that, in other words, if that's not a perceptual distortion that I'm perceiving reality through, then it's just is showing up however it is.
So then magnetizing in in the quantum field is magnetizing our karma or not magnetizing our karma?
I
To be
think,
played out or not played out?
right, I think that the karmic question is an overlay from cause and effect, prior perceptions of reality that it probably doesn't work that way, actually.
Well, that's why I'm kind of
probably
trying,
doesn't
I'm
work.
wishing in this, yeah?
Right, yeah. The thing to be aware of is as viewed, so appears. That's where we are right now. I believe that we're in this collective shift in consciousness. I believe that we're coming out of the karmic wheel that's been attached to this fear-based 3D reality.
So the way that we as a collective consciousness have conceptualized this fear-based reality that we're playing in and how that is getting, I don't know what the right word is, transforming, transmuting into this quantum. So one's transmuting into something else that's more appropriate for the now.
Well, it's just moving into a larger understanding that's more of the way it actually is.
Got it. Thank you.
Because all of us live with misunderstandings and even behave out of misunderstandings, and that's some of our relational issues, right? But the minute that the light comes on, it was through a glass darkly, but now face to face. It's like to see more clearly, right? What's actually operating, how this reality actually operates. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Tony.
I just want to make sure there's someone on Zoom, make sure that people on Zoom have a chance to speak if there's something, and Shar has showed up on the feed.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's good.
If there's any reflection or thoughts, just please raise your hand and we'll make space for you as well. Okay. Not hearing,
I didn't hear a piece.
not seeing or hearing anything, so the floor is open for either
Right.
spin offs on this conversation or doing the work or anything that any of you would like to ask Polly about or check in with, update Polly. We have about 9 more minutes before we go into meditation. Well, maybe this is the time
It's
to
a good
talk.
time, yeah.
Yeah. So how many of you read the email that talked about the intensive? Yeah, so
Wait, did you what?
so what happened is we realized that, we have people come from the mainland and we do intensives occasionally, and we have other groups that do intensives. And we wanted to make that format or some semblance of that format available to this group where we actually, it's less about poly pontificating. No, but more about us doing the work and making this shift together.
Right.
And we found these intensives to be incredibly helpful. So we're asking people, we're gonna take a break in November into the middle of December for 6 weeks, where we have people who are committed to coming for those 6 weeks, commit to the entire time, and it'll
Wednesday afternoon.
this Wednesday afternoon time, and we'll be doing more in-depth, well, it's all relative, but a different kind of format with each other, and we're really excited about it. We think it's the next the next step to take us to another level and give that opportunity to people who are, you know, far away or want to be here in the room with us. So we'll do both Zoom and in the room. So, anything else you want to say about it, Polly?
There's a. Yeah, I think it's a perceptual shift, but I think it'll make a big difference in how it operates and what the value of it is. And the shift is from having teachings, like she was saying, me pontificating or a Dharma talk or whatever, and to actually engaging at the level where each of us is in terms of the shift to awakening. So it's like Robin said to me when we were first considering this. It's about rolling up your sleeves and going to work. I don't know exactly what that means because I've never done that.
Will it be limited to a certain amount of people, or is it just that it's a closed circle?
I think right now we're thinking it's a closed circle. That could change.
With suggested donations.
Yeah, no, we're asking
Yeah.
for, yeah. We're asking for a commitment,
Exactly. A financial.
financial commitment, and yeah, and to be here. Of course, if you can't be here, it will be recorded just for the people who are in in
So you
that.
don't have to, if you have to miss.
Yeah,
one.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, of course.
Starting when,
November.
first of November?
Yeah, that first Wednesday in November.
So I don't completely get what roll up your sleeves means.
Me either.
So, I'll just give you
Because you don't have any sleep, so.
the. I'll just give you, oh, here's someone in the chat is asking, Kim, you didn't get an email. I don't know why you're not getting the email. Okay, did you check your spam? Check your spam, you checked your spam. All right, I'll resend it to you. Somebody else had to re-sign up. I don't know
And
why.
me too, because I don't remember seeing it, but I'm not.
It came yesterday, right?
Yeah, it came yesterday.
I read it twice because I didn't quite get it.
Yeah,
It's a little confusing.
so
And so did somebody else.
So what happens in an intensive, we start by going around, we're calling it immersion in this case. We go around and we say what our intention is for that time. So we're holding something for ourselves and intending to work with something during that time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it gets shaped by where everybody is who's in the group.
And typically, people do the work with Polly. Typically, there's conversations. Sometimes we do breakout. We go into pairs and do the work with each other. It's just more interactive and more involved with the people who are there.
Well, I think I'm hearing it, it's a commitment to intention and then creating that intention, manifesting it.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, 'cause we each talk about our different pieces of that's going on, but then there's this, like a
Yeah.
focus, like a, I don't know, laser focus, but a real commitment.
Something happens in those groups that in the Sangha meetings here, I don't feel, and Chrissy's nodding her head, doesn't happen in the same way when people are coming and going, and that, which is great. We want Polly to have access to people, but and so we'll do 6 weeks, and then we'll do two sessions of a regular Sangha, open Sangha, and then we'll take a break for the last 2 weeks of December, and then we'll
So
do.
will the Zoom people actually be doing it too?
Yes, the people will sign up if they're in distance also.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be hybrid, just like this, yeah.
So it's more like the money thing,
Yeah,
you know, the focus was on
Yeah.
money and people's issues around money.
yes,
Doing that, that's,
I thought the other ones, the last one was money. This is.
yeah, this is not money. She's saying it's like that.
Oh, okay.
It's similar, but
there's a focus.
but in that we were giving information, we were training. So this is really
Individual.
6 steps, you know, Polly's work.
And it's taking a deeper dive
Yeah,
into Pali's work, Pali's vision.
so we just wanted to make it available to everyone because, you know, we have groups here on Maui that do that sometimes.
Yeah.
We have people who come from, you know, the mainland, and we do that. And we just wanted to make that, like, to the hum gets a little bit more louder when we come together in a committed time with committed people.
Maybe we should just get together and hum.
It
That can be
sounds
very transformative.
It sounds like the intensives are more where you do it over several days and
Yeah, so we're doing this over 6 weeks.
I see, instead of like a contained.
Yes.
sentence.
Yeah, and who knows, we might end up doing that at some point
Okay,
as well. That's,
okay.
we'll see how, this is, we're like
It's an
in high play, we're
Got it.
experimenting how to bring this to the next level. That's the intention.
Very good.
Yeah. I see Linda is saying something. Please resend to you. You didn't get the email either, Linda?
Well, honestly, if it was the regular Pali Satsang one, I might have deleted it because so I would love to, I really want to come, and yes, please send it again.
Okay. All right. And Linda and Kim are both here. And Linda and Kim met in Asheville spontaneously. You never know who you're gonna meet from the Sangha.
Linda and Ash.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do they both live there?
No, Kim lives in Marin, but
Oh.
she was at an event that Linda was at, and so yeah.
Linda was at the
At
duel, the death duel.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah. So a small world. All right, I can do that. All right, any last thing anybody wants to say before we shift into meditation together?
Gratitude.
Yeah.
For what everybody brought to the table.
Sure.
Yeah. And Polly.
And Polly,
Robin for
yeah.
keeping this humming.
You're such a dynamic duo.
The care and feeding is excellent.
Thank you for offering us this intensive because I really, really want to do it.
Yeah,
So glad, Maureen, so glad.
that was Linda.
Was that, I thought it was.
No, that was Linda. Okay,
So good.
let's take a pause with a holy silence pause. And those of you who are leaving can leave, and the rest of you can stay
Assume
and,
position.
yeah, assume the position.